Welcome, everyone. Guys, I'm sure you've all watched fairy tales and magical movies where a prince always comes to the rescue. But is that always the case? Back in 2001, the first movie in the Shrek series hit the screens and became one of the best movies of its time, completely turning the concept of fairy tales and princes on its head. This movie is based on an ogre, a monster, rather than a handsome prince. So, without further ado, let's dive into the story and meet this fascinating ogre. The movie begins with an author reading a book about a fairy tale, telling the story of a princess living in a castle guarded by a dragon. This princess is cursed and can't leave, waiting for a prince to wake her up. Suddenly, we realize that it's an ogre reading the book, and he tears out the page, saying, "Does this happen? No prince is coming to save any princess." We then meet the main character, a terrifying and filthy ogre named Shrek. He lives in a dirty swamp, bathes in mud, brushes his teeth with worms, and eats the eyes of animals. The people in a nearby town called Duloc want to kill this ogre to ensure their safety. One day, they plan to burn down Shrek's home, but Shrek scares them away. Although he seems like a fearsome monster, Shrek isn't evil. He just scares people off without hurting them. Outside his home, Shrek finds a flyer saying that fairy tale characters are being captured. All the townspeople possessing these characters were called by the king, willing to sell them for a few coins. Some of these characters are magical, while others can even talk. This is when we meet a talking donkey. Its owner claims it can talk, and the soldiers offer her 10 coins if it does. However, the donkey, not wanting to leave, stays silent until some magical dust makes it fly. The donkey then starts speaking, making fun of everyone. When the magic wears off, it crashes to the ground, and the soldiers chase after it. The donkey runs into the forest and hides behind Shrek. Shrek scares the soldiers away, and the grateful donkey sticks to him like glue, insisting they make a great team and should stick together. Although Shrek prefers to be alone and even tries to scare the donkey, it doesn't work. And so begins the unlikely friendship between Shrek and the talkative donkey. Donkey follows Shrek to his home, but Shrek doesn't invite him inside. So, Donkey says, "Okay, buddy, I'll just stay outside then." That night, while Shrek is enjoying his dinner, he briefly considers offering some food to Donkey but decides against it and keeps to himself. Suddenly, a bunch of uninvited guests start arriving at Shrek's house. These are all the fairy tale characters. The king had sent them there to annoy Shrek after his soldiers reported a monster living in the area. Annoyed, Shrek tries to send them all away. When he steps outside, he sees countless fairy tale characters camped out around his home. He asks them who sent them, and they tell him it was Lord Farquaad. Determined to get his home back, Shrek decides to go see the king and get rid of these characters. The fairy tale characters are thrilled, hoping they'll get their homes back too. However, Shrek has no idea how to get to the castle. None of the fairy tale characters want to go with him, except for Donkey, who eagerly volunteers. Reluctantly, Shrek agrees to take Donkey along. Meanwhile, we see Lord Farquaad, who is tormenting a small gingerbread man. Suddenly, a magic mirror is brought before him. Farquaad, who isn't a king yet, asks the mirror how he can become one. The mirror tells him he just needs to marry a princess, presenting 3 options: Princess Cinderella, Princess Sleeping Beauty, and Princess Fiona, who lives in a castle guarded by a dragon. Without hearing the full story, Farquaad chooses Princess Fiona. The next morning, Shrek arrives at Farquaad's place to demand his home back, only to stumble upon a competition to select a knight. Farquaad, a cowardly prince, announces that the winner will have the honor of rescuing the princess. He just wants to avoid danger himself. When Shrek shows up, everyone is terrified. Farquaad then declares that whoever defeats Shrek will rescue the princess. However, Shrek, being a large and formidable ogre, easily defeats all the soldiers. Seeing this, Farquaad declares Shrek the winner, meaning Shrek now has to rescue Princess Fiona. Shrek and Farquaad strike a deal. If Shrek brings the princess back from the castle, Farquaad will give him his swamp back. Donkey tries to reason with Shrek, but they set off on their mission together. Donkey warns Shrek that this prince is very cunning and has manipulated him, urging Shrek not to get involved. But Shrek insists that he needs his home back and will do anything for it. Ignoring Donkey's advice, Shrek doesn't take him along, but Donkey follows him anyway. After a long journey, they finally reach a place with flowing lava and a massive castle. Donkey is scared to cross the bridge, but Shrek coaxes him across. Now, they have to find both the dragon and the princess. Shrek puts on some armor and tells Donkey to find the princess while he handles the dragon. However, Donkey accidentally encounters the dragon first, which starts breathing fire everywhere in anger. Shrek, trying to catch the dragon, ends up hanging onto its tail, which swings him straight into the princess's room. Meanwhile, the angry dragon blocks Donkey's path, but Donkey cleverly flatters the dragon, who turns out to be female. He praises her beauty, telling her she looks like she just came from a parlor and admires her lovely teeth. The flattered dragon spares Donkey and takes him away with her. On the other side, Princess Fiona discovers that someone has finally come to rescue her and assumes it's her true love. But Shrek simply picks her up and carries her off. Fiona protests, saying a prince should come with proper ceremony, sing a song, and propose to her. Shrek dismisses this, saying there's no time and they need to escape. Fiona realizes Shrek hasn't slain the dragon and now they have to face it. Donkey, stuck with the dragon, is rescued by Shrek, who ties a chain around the dragon's neck. As the dragon tries to chase them, it gets tangled up, allowing Shrek, Fiona, and Donkey to make their way across the bridge. The dragon breathes fire, breaking and burning the bridge, but Shrek manages to save everyone and get them out safely. The dragon is left alone again. Once outside, Fiona insists on seeing her rescuer's face. Shrek refuses, saying Lord Farquaad sent him to save her. Fiona argues that if Farquaad wants to marry her, he should have come himself, and she refuses to go anywhere until he comes. Reluctantly, Shrek reveals his face. Fiona is initially scared but says nothing. Fiona firmly says that she will only leave with Lord Farquaad. Ignoring her, Shrek picks her up and carries on. After covering some distance, he sets her down, and Fiona insists they should camp for the night as it's getting late. She mentions she needs some things and disappears among the rocks, saying she'll see them in the morning. As night falls, Shrek and Donkey prepare to sleep. They start talking, and Donkey asks Shrek why he lives alone. Shrek explains that because of his appearance, people think he's terrible and stay away, so he has no one to be with. Donkey responds that he wasn't afraid of Shrek when they first met, which Shrek acknowledges, though he notes that most people don't like him. Fiona overhears this conversation. Meanwhile, Lord Farquaad is eagerly awaiting to see his princess. The next morning, Fiona wakes up singing, accidentally causing a bird to die. She makes breakfast for Shrek and Donkey, apologizing for the fight the previous day and suggesting they eat and get moving. As they continue their journey, some men from the forest try to flirt with Fiona. She skillfully fights them off one by one, leaving Shrek and Donkey amazed on the sidelines. Shrek asks how she learned to fight, and Fiona replies that living alone teaches you these things. Shrek realizes that he and Fiona have a lot in common, and they start having fun together, progressing happily. As evening approaches again, Fiona insists on stopping for the night, even though they are close to the castle. While having dinner together, Shrek contemplates telling Fiona that he likes her, but loses his nerve. Fiona also thinks it would be nice if Shrek expressed his feelings. Donkey, realizing what's happening, encourages Shrek to talk to her, reminding him that she'll be gone the next day. Shrek doubts himself, thinking a beautiful princess would never marry someone as ugly as him and might even be scared of him. Donkey insists that Shrek should at least talk to her to find out. Night falls, and Donkey decides to talk to Fiona himself to tell her that Shrek likes her. But when he gets there, when Donkey enters, he panics because instead of Princess Fiona, there is another ogre. Donkey accuses the ogre of eating Fiona and demands she release the princess. The female ogre reveals that she is Fiona and asks Donkey to look at her closely. Donkey is shocked and asks what happened, as Fiona was perfectly fine earlier. Fiona explains that a witch cursed her in childhood, turning her into an ugly ogre every evening at sunset. Only true love's kiss can lift the curse, which is why she seeks her prince, hoping his first kiss will make her normal again. Donkey then tells Fiona that Shrek likes her. However, Fiona believes she is too ugly for anyone to love her, including Shrek. Meanwhile, Shrek, intending to propose to Fiona with flowers in hand, overhears her saying, "Who could ever love someone as ugly as that?" Misunderstanding. Shrek thinks Fiona is referring to him, leading to a huge miscommunication. The next morning, Fiona decides to talk to Shrek, but Shrek, hurt by what he thinks she said, avoids her and tells her he heard everything. Fiona believes Shrek has discovered her secret and thinks he despises her for it. During their argument, Lord Farquaad arrives, fulfilling his deal with Shrek and giving him his swamp back. Ready to leave, Shrek watches as Farquaad proposes to Fiona, who is troubled by the diminutive lord but, angry with Shrek, agrees to marry Farquaad that very day. Angry and hurt, Shrek drives Donkey away, insisting he wants to be alone. Donkey, deeply hurt, leaves. That night, Shrek is alone, while Fiona prepares for her wedding. Donkey reunites with the dragon, but this time he decides not to leave Shrek alone. He goes to Shrek's swamp and asserts that he has a claim to half of it since he helped rescue the princess. Shrek, still angry, tells Donkey to leave, claiming the swamp is his alone. They argue, and in the heat of the moment, Donkey explains Fiona's curse and how Shrek misunderstood her words. Realizing his mistake, Shrek decides to stop Fiona's wedding and tell her how he really feels. Donkey insists that Shrek should talk to Fiona. Shrek, feeling dejected, says that Fiona thinks he's an ugly monster and would never want to talk to him. Donkey responds that they weren't talking about him, and Shrek, excited, asks whom they were talking about. Donkey suggests Shrek ask Fiona himself. Shrek hesitates, noting Fiona's wedding is happening today. To solve the problem, Donkey calls his girlfriend, the dragon, who flies them to Fiona. At the wedding, just as Fiona is about to marry Lord Farquaad, Shrek bursts in and tries to explain that Farquaad is only marrying her to become king. Fiona retorts, asking why it matters to Shrek unless he loves her. Shrek confesses his love, and Fiona is about to reveal her secret when the sun sets, turning her into an ogre. Everyone is shocked, including Shrek, who didn't know about her curse. Fiona explains she wanted to tell him about the curse earlier. Furious, Lord Farquaad claims their marriage is already official and orders Fiona to be locked away, declaring himself king. As soldiers seize Shrek and Fiona, Shrek whistles, summoning the dragon who flies in and eats Farquaad. Shrek then kisses Fiona, initiating a magical transformation. However, instead of becoming a human, Fiona remains an ogre, revealing her true form due to Shrek's love. Accepting her ogre form, Fiona and Shrek get married in a joyous ceremony attended by all the fairy tale creatures. Donkey and the dragon also begin their relationship, and everyone moves forward to live happily ever after. The story of the ogre and the princess concludes, hinting at future adventures in the franchise. So see you soon till the next video. Bye.